What's up guys, my name is Austin Black. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Aputure 300D. This thing is a monster light. So before we get into the review, I just want to mention that if you're interested in purchasing the Aputure 300D, I'll have it linked below with an Amazon affiliate link. If the review helped you out, you can head over there and purchase it. I'll get a small commission at no extra charge to you, helps out the channel. It's really cool. Let's start with who this light is for, and I think this light is for just about everybody, from YouTubers to freelance videographers, wedding filmmakers, people filming interviews, people doing real estate videos, indie filmmakers. This light really can do it all. It's so high output and versatile. Aputure has really done a great job just making a really nice light. It's got a very high CRI, which is basically just how accurately it reproduces colors. This thing seriously can do it all. For example, I recently shot a wedding. I was lighting the reception with the Aputure 300D, as well as two Mini 20s, another light that Aputure makes, and I never had to raise my ISO above about 1600 for the whole thing, which, I mean, is pretty unheard of if you're not really lighting your wedding receptions. And this thing is super small, super easy to set up. It was just a great experience. I've used it to light some commercial interview style things, and it's been really great. One of the interviews I lit it with was in a bakery, and we were interviewing the owner of the bakery. And it really wasn't intrusive to set up. There were customers in the bakery, so another light that might have a higher draw or more of just like a not inconspicuous profile might not have worked out for that. So I'm glad I had something that has a high output that I can modify to be extremely soft, great interview lighting. It was at my disposal, and it was a really great tool for me in that situation. I also think this light is a really good choice for indie filmmakers. You have the option to power it with V-mount batteries. You need two of them, and they have to have a 12 amp draw, which is kind of a lot. So if you're an indie filmmaker, you can take this thing with you and you don't have to worry about getting a generator to power it. You've just got two V-mount batteries, which a lot of indie filmmakers might be using for their cameras or other accessories, so it works out. Me personally, I don't have V-mount batteries. I'm always in a situation where I can plug this thing in, which is really good, but I would like to eventually get some batteries that'll work with this thing. Let's talk some pros and cons here. Some of the pros for this camera for me are obviously the high output. Aputure says it compares to a 2K tungsten fixture. That's not really my area of expertise, but I know that it is super high output compared to anything that I've used. It's really great for just about any situation for professional shoots for me. So it's just perfect. Don't need to worry about output. It's not a problem with this light at all. Next, I want to talk about just kind of the build of it. I think that the size of it is really reasonable for what you're getting, and it feels super durable. It's made out of aircraft grade aluminum. It's really lightweight, and it just feels nice and robust. It feels like a great product that Aputure's put together. One thing that I really love about this light, as well as the 120D and the 120T, is the fact that they have a Bowens mount on the front of it. That means you can use all of these photography accessories, soft boxes, different modifiers. It's really great, especially with there being more and more hybrid shooters out there. You're able to have one accessory ecosystem, and it works with everything. It's super cool. And you don't have to worry about things bursting into flames. I mean, who would have thought? This light also has, like I mentioned, a really high CRI. I believe it's like 97, which is, I mean, amazing. It reproduces colors super well, it's great for an LED. It is daylight balanced, as 300D would seem to signify. But you have plenty of options putting a CTO or whatever you need on there to get the effect that you want. It's also got this really handy remote that Aputure makes. Let's focus. There it is. It's got this really handy remote and it works from quite a distance. And if you have multiple 300Ds, you can use up to, I believe, 4 of them. And you could mix them with 120Ds or the other lightstorm panels. That would be really cool. So right now I've got the output at about 50 and I'm shooting at f2.8 with ISO 100 to minimize the noise. Let's just crank this up. Just humor me for a moment here. Oh man. It's pretty bright, and this is with, I've got the big Aputure light dome over it, so it's super soft. I mean, obviously it's super bright right now, but it's a super soft modifier. You've got a lot of distance between the source and the diffusion. It's actually got 2 layers of diffusion. It's really nice. I think I might do a review on that by itself at some point. So the light itself has fans that you can control. You can set it to auto or you can force them on. The fans are actually super quiet on this thing. I also have the Mini 20 kit that Aputure makes, and compared to those, the fan is like silent. There's not really any setup where you'll have it right next to the camera where it's gonna pick it up. I think, you know, it's pretty rare that you'd be in a situation where your microphone is gonna pick up that fan because it is so quiet. Your mic would have to be like on the fan to really pick it up. So a few cons I have with this light, all of them have asterisks. This light doesn't have a ton of cons in my books, but one of them would kind of be the setup time, and that's not compared to similar lights with similar outputs. That's just compared to cheaper LEDs where it's just kind of like put the battery on, flip it on. This thing is a little bit more involved. You've got a power brick, and then you've also got the control unit that has the part where you mount the V-mount batteries. Those are all, I think, 4 or 5 pin XLRs that go up to the light itself. So it takes some time to set it up, especially if you've got this softbox. The softbox, you have to also strike it all and put it back together. And it takes a little bit of time. Obviously, it's not a big deal, and I'm happy to do it for a light like this, but it's just something I thought I'd mention. The other con is just that it's expensive to power with batteries. You're gonna have to drop probably $500 to $700 on really nice V-mount batteries, and you need 2 of them, so it's just gonna be expensive to power it with batteries, but I do like that Aputure provides that option for me. So again, I can't really complain that much because of the output of the light. I mean, it's amazing. The only other con that I would really think of is the fact that Aputure also makes a really fantastic light that is the 120D that I think is really, really capable. I mean, if you're not wanting to spend the $1,100 on the 300D, the 120D will probably get you pretty far. And for the price, you could buy 2 120Ds instead of 1 300D, so you'll just kind of have to weigh what you want in a light. For me, I wanted the one really high output light that I could use for everything, and then go a little bit cheaper with all the other ones and have the Mini 20s to use creatively and shape the light and do other things. So that's just kind of what I want to do, but I see a lot of people going the 120D route and having some success with that. So I showed you some examples of professional work that I've done with it. The one thing I really haven't shown is kind of a way to use it creatively and more of a film type of scenario. And I actually had some fun. Me and Kristen just set up this little scene with her in front of the fire. And what we actually did is we put the 300D outdoors and we raised it up really high, put a blue gel on it to kind of simulate moonlight coming through the blinds. It was kind of cool. We used that along with the Mini 20s and just made a little scene, and it was all shot at really low ISO because we had a really good amount of light for it. So here's that little clip. Anyways, I think that's about it. I love this light. If you can't tell, I love Aputure's products. I feel like lights like this are really the future. These high output single source LEDs, it really feels like the next generation of product that is really gonna catch on with a lot of people. So yeah, it's amazing. I'll see you guys next time. My name is Austin Black. Thanks for watching.